I was thinking of talking about the Hayek from Babylon 5. I think the episode was called Secrets of the Soul, Season 5, Episode 7. And I've always wondered how civilization would get to that point, how a society goes to the point of, say, for instance, Lokai and builds society and let that be your last battlefield from Star Trek, the original series. So I got to thinking, well, can I put together maybe 3 or 4 episodes in sci-fi that would show a good path as to how a civilization would go from, brethren to hate to, all the paths that lead up to the things that we see in Let That Be Your Last Battlefield or Secrets of the Soul from Babylon 5. Now, understand, I'm still going to talk about the Hayek, but I wanted to talk about him towards the end of this video, but like I said, create a path. So to start this off, I'm going to go with Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Far Beyond the Stars, right? Season 6, I think, episode 13. And in that episode, we see how treating minorities and, blacks, were treated in the U.S. at that time, how people looked down on them, how, terroristic society was against them. Now, from there, I could go to Star Trek Deep Space Nine, The Marquis, which basically talks about how these people, because of no help from law, because of no help from the Federation, thinking that they had to deal with the terrorism of the Cardassians on their own, formed their own resistance cells to fight the Cardassians. I guess from there, we could go to the episode The Other Side from Voyager. I think that was episode, Season 4, 2 maybe? Yeah, we can go straight from The Marquis into The Other Side, which is, now actually it's a Stargate episode. And okay, look, see, I have to throw a Stargate episode in there because this episode was great. He even had Renee Auberjonois in it. But basically what was going on in this episode is that the war had escalated up until a point where the people who had started the war, the Nazis of this particular episode, basically went underground and was waging war against the minorities, which had become the majority on the surface. And they was doing a pretty good job until their shields started failing and they needed SG-1's help. And I ain't gonna tell you how they ended up going. Now, let's say, for instance, that the Nazi or the group of hate ended up winning, right? Then we go into episodes like The Living Witness from Star Trek Voyager, right? Where the winners of the conflict start to rewrite history, start to frame the minorities as the bad guys, start changing the events to fit the narrative of the actual bad guys who won. And then what happens when all of that is successful, all of the banning, all of the, limiting education, all of these things, what happens after this? Well, the only thing left is the people who remember, their descendants. And what do you have to do? You're going to have to get rid of those people too, because again, it's the hate. So that brings us to Secrets of the Soul from Babylon 5. And we talk about the Hayek. Now, the thing that was going on with the Hayek and why this particular episode just rings to me and why I wanted to talk about the Hayek dough was because on this planet, right, you had 2 factions. You had 2 species. You had the Hayek and you had the Hayek dough. They were very closely related. The thing is, though, is that the Hayek was like, listen, man, we don't like the Hayek dough. We're going to subjugate them. That ain't, that ain't enough for us, man. We finna just eliminate them. We finna just commit genocide. And the thing is that why they were committing genocide, they wasn't allowing the Hayek dough to leave. They wasn't allowing them to escape. They wasn't allowing them to become refugees, at some other place. They limited them to the world, and it took them centuries to eliminate the Hayek dough. And the whole thing is that after all this time, it took, after thousands of years, they only had 800 years of recorded history that they would tell people, because eventually the descendants of the Hayek was like, man, we super embarrassed about what we did and all this kind of stuff. We don't want nobody to know because, but by the way, we ended up becoming, we are now going to die as a species because the Hayek dough had a genetic marker that if we would just had interbreeded with them or just, existed with them normally, then we would have been able to have that genetic marker as well, and we wouldn't be on the verge of extinction ourselves. So anyway, man, just look at the trace of those particular sci-fi episodes to see how a civilization would end up like that. It was Far Beyond the Stars, The Marquis, The Other Side, The Living Witness, and of course, Secrets of the Soul. Anyway, let me know what you guys think, and if there's any episodes that you guys will put in this list to show a really good path as for how we got from here to there. And as always, man, thank you guys guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And as always, peace, recycle, and say to whales, you guys be cool.